Hi guys, how are you? Today I want to talk about tantrums. I don't call them tantrums, but for the sake of this video and the fact that that's what most people call them, I will call them tantrums. But all they are is overwhelming emotions. So when our kids are young, they don't have the capacity to be able to control their emotions. When they get overwhelmed with emotion, that's when a tantrum happens. The fact that we're punishing our children over brain development or something that hasn't happened in their brain development blows my mind. So children are unable to have impulse control until sometimes very late. I'm talking like 8 or 9 sometimes. It's because their prefrontal cortex hasn't developed that part. So if you think that punishing your child when they have a tantrum is going to make their brain develop faster, then I have a few books that would really help. Anything by Janet Lansbury, Dan Siegel, and Alfie Kohn will really help you understand what's actually going on when your child has a tantrum. The best way to prevent a tantrum is to know your children's limitations, to give your children as much of what they want and need as possible. So I know that when my daughter wakes up, if I don't spend that first half an hour of the day playing with her and connecting with her, the rest of the day is going to be difficult. I know if I have packed too much into a morning and we're going here, there, and everywhere, there's going to be a meltdown somewhere. And when my daughter had her very first tantrum, it lasted a long time. I'm talking like 10 minutes. And I was really grateful that I had been given the coping skills for that, and I had been working towards those coping skills for the first year of her life. When a child is having a tantrum, it is really, really important that you acknowledge how you're feeling inside, because it is hardcore. The feelings that you feel when your child's having a meltdown, you feel helpless, you feel irritated, you feel overwhelmed. There's even probably thoughts going through your head that if you were a good parent, this wouldn't happen. I want you to get that thought out of your head as soon as possible. This is a developmental phase, okay? This has nothing to do with you, and it's absolutely normal. What your child needs from you in this moment is calm. What your child needs from you is to be able to, that you acknowledge how you're feeling and you figure out ways to stay as calm as possible, whether that's deep breathing, whether that's saying a mantra, whatever you have to do to keep yourself calm in that moment, in those moments during the whole tantrum phase, is what you need to do. Letting our kids know that we're there for them through every difficult emotion is extremely important. If we can't show them that we are there for them during the toughest times that they're going through, i.e. these tantrums, how can they trust us for the rest of their life to be there in the important moments? What I found helpful when my daughter had her first 2 or 3 tantrums that lasted quite a long time is I picked her up and I took her into her room. I made it dark. I put pillows around her so she could throw herself around and without getting hurt, or grab a mattress, whatever is easiest. I just let her go for it, and I sat down probably about half a meter away, and in my head I repeated, this is not an emergency. She's having a hard time. She's not trying to give you a hard time. It's really important we remind ourselves of this. She's having a hard time. She's not trying to give you a hard time. And then that feeling that you have that is just innately in you as a mother and as a father, that you have to do something to stop this. It's important that we just acknowledge it and we say, this is not an emergency. This is not an emergency, to calm ourselves down and to keep us calm. During this time, every 10, 15 seconds, I would say, Mum is here, darling. Mum is here. Just to let her know I was there. I'm comfortable. I'm okay with her expressing how she feels. And I'm here the moment you want me. So when she finally stopped, I said, Alaska, Mum is here. And she turned around and she crawled into my arms and she almost immediately fell asleep. And then I put her to bed, and I knew in that instant that I had done way too much that day. She was unbelievably overwhelmed and exhausted. We need to know our kids' limitations to be able to prevent them. We can, as much as you can if you are out, try redirection. Make sure you've got something on hand that they enjoy. Anything, even if it has to be an iPad, to try and get them to calm down or anything if you are out. But try and resist the urge to over-punish if your child has a tantrum in front of people. Your primary concern is getting your child somewhere safe. Anyone who is judging another parent in that stage has serious issues. They either A, don't have kids, B, they know nothing about child development, or C, they've got their own childhood and a trauma that they haven't dealt with. So because our kids' brains haven't quite developed their impulse control, they don't have the words to communicate what they're feeling or what they're going through, or that they've reached their limits. All of these are reasons as to why your kids don't need punishment. They just need love, validation, empathy, and they need you to stay calm. It doesn't mean your child is bad. It doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean all these things that society has unfortunately taught us that it does mean. It doesn't mean that your kid is going to be 21 and still throwing themselves on the ground. I promise you, it doesn't mean that. So the first 3 tantrums that my daughter had took a long time. Okay, be wary of that. But now she will throw herself on the floor. She'll be there for about 4 seconds and she'll get back up and look at me, and then she'll turn around and play with something else. You know, the more you don't overreact, the easier your child learns to deal with emotions themselves, the faster they get over these emotions. So keep that in mind, okay? The calmer you stay, the more you give your kids practice at being able to sit and deal with their emotions in a safe, calm space, the faster they'll be able to deal with them and move on. All right, well, I hope this really helped. And yeah, let me know what your go-to tricks are for when your kids get overwhelmed with emotions. And message me if you want like particular books to read. I can give you a few recommendations. Bye.